3 helicopters had been sitting in the desert for 9 years. By 10 that morning, 3 experts had declared them dead. At 11, the billionaire who owned them signed the order to sell all 3 for scrap. At 11:17, a maintenance contractor named Owen Price walked past the open hangar carrying a box of electrical fittings. He stopped, looked inside, and said 5 words nobody had asked him to say. "They're trying to start them wrong." The first expert laughed. The second did not even turn around. The third looked at Owen's faded work shirt, dusty boots, and temporary contractor badge. Then he pointed toward the door. "Facilities is that way." Owen nodded. He should have kept walking. He had a daughter waiting at school, a rent increase he could not afford, a truck with a transmission that slipped every time it warmed up, and exactly 6 days left on a temporary electrical contract he desperately needed extended. Getting involved with 3 abandoned helicopters owned by one of the richest women in America was not part of the plan. Then Owen saw the small orange lever beneath the first helicopter's pilot seat. His hand tightened around the box. He knew that lever. He knew why nobody could get fuel pressure. He knew why the starter circuit seemed dead even with new batteries. And he knew something nobody standing in that hangar could possibly know. Because 22 years earlier, Owen Price had helped design the procedure they were all missing. The billionaire stepped toward him. "You said they're starting them wrong." Owen looked at the aircraft, then at her. He did not answer. She pointed at the first helicopter. "Can you start it?" Owen glanced at the clock. 11:19. Then he thought about his daughter, about the promise he had made her that morning, about the life he had stopped talking about years ago. Finally, he put the electrical fittings on the floor. "I can check something." 40 minutes later, all 3 helicopters would be running. Before sunset, Owen Price would fly every one. But what happened between those 2 moments would expose why the aircraft had been abandoned in the first place, and why one man in that hangar needed them to stay dead. At 5:46 that morning, Owen was standing barefoot in his kitchen trying to repair a toaster. His 11-year-old daughter watched from the table. "Dad." Owen did not look up. "Yeah? You're fixing a $12 toaster. $24.99. It was on sale. Still, why?" Owen moved a screwdriver. The toaster clicked. "Because throwing away repairable things is irritating." Harper Price ate another spoonful of cereal. "The refrigerator leaks. Condensation, the truck makes a clunk. Character, the bathroom light flickers. Atmosphere, our toaster tried to catch fire." Owen finally looked at her. Exaggeration, there was smoke. Very small smoke. Harper stared. Owen smiled. She did not. She had her mother's stare. That always got him. 11 years old. Brown hair tied into a loose ponytail. Green sweatshirt. 2 different socks. And a face that could make Owen confess to things he had not done. He unplugged the toaster. "Fine," Harper smiled. "New toaster?" "No, Dad, I'm fixing it after work." She groaned. He checked the clock. "Bus in 20. I know." "Backpack? Door? Lunch? Backpack? Permission slip?" Harper stopped chewing. Owen noticed. "What?" "Nothing, Harper." She looked down at the cereal. The paper was for a school aviation day at Luke Air Force Base. Parents were invited. Students would tour aircraft, meet pilots, see demonstrations. Harper had been excited for 2 weeks. Owen had not signed it, not because he did not want her to go, because parents had to attend, and Owen had avoided airfields for 13 years. Harper pushed the cereal bowl away. "It's okay." "No, it isn't. You have work. I can get off." "Mr. Danner said contractors can't leave early." Owen frowned. "Mr. Danner says lots of things. You need the job." That hurt. Children should not know which jobs their parents need. Owen walked to the counter. The envelope from Desert Ridge Property Management sat beneath a coffee mug. Lease renewal. New monthly rent, $2,175. Current, $1,640. Owen had read the number 4 times. It had not improved. Harper's school was 12 minutes away. Her friends lived nearby. Her mother was buried 7 miles away. Owen had moved them enough already. After Rebecca died, he and Harper moved twice in 4 years. Each time he promised the next place would last. The apartment in Chandler was supposed to be that place. Then rent jumped $500. Harper looked at him. Are we moving? Owen froze. Why? I saw the paper. He looked at the envelope. Of course. You were snooping. It was under a mug. Highly classified mug. Are we? Owen sat opposite her. I don't know. Her face changed. Just slightly. That was worse than crying. Would I change schools? I'm trying to make sure you don't. You said that last time. Owen looked down. She was right. Harper continued. I don't care if we move. Yes, you do. No, you hate new schools. I survived. Owen looked at her. She shrugged. Mom used to say we're prices. We survive everything. Rebecca had said that. During chemotherapy, during the bad days, during the mornings when she could not stand without help. We're prices. We survive everything. Owen hated how comforting and unfair the sentence had become. He reached across the table. Harper took his hand. I'm going to figure it out. She looked at him. Promise? Owen hesitated. That was enough. Harper pulled her hand back. Bus, she stood. Owen watched her grab the backpack. Harper. She turned. He picked up the Aviation Day permission form from the counter. Signed it. Her eyebrows lifted. You'll go? Yeah, you have work. I'll handle it. When? Thursday, you promise? This time he did not hesitate. Promise? Harper smiled. A real one. Okay, she opened the door. Then looked back. Dad? Yeah? Don't fix the toaster. The door closed. Owen looked at the smoking toaster. Unreasonable household. At 6:28, Owen climbed into his truck, a 2008 Chevrolet Silverado, 219,000 miles. Dented tailgate. Cracked. Passenger mirror. A faded sticker on the rear window that read, Coast Guard Aviation. Owen had tried removing it once. The adhesive had hardened. He stopped halfway. The bottom corner still peeled slightly in summer. Most people assumed the truck had belonged to someone else. Owen let them. On the passenger seat sat his contractor badge. Harrow Sky Ranch. Facilities, temporary. The property was 45 minutes east near the Superstition Mountains. 2,800 acres. Private airstrip. Horse facilities. Solar fields. Guest houses. 2 aircraft hangars. And an enormous Spanish-style main residence owned by Celeste Harrow. Founder of Harrow Dynamics. Satellites. Industrial electronics. Defense communications. Private aviation systems. Public estimates placed her fortune above $9 billion. Owen knew almost nothing about her personally. He had been hired by an electrical subcontractor to modernize lighting and backup systems across the ranch. 6 weeks. Good pay, no benefits, no guarantee afterward. He needed a guarantee afterward. At 7:21, Owen parked beside Facilities Building 2. His supervisor, Curtis Danner, was already waiting. Curtis liked clean boots, clipboard, sunglasses even indoors. He had spent 19 years telling temporary workers how temporary they were. Price, morning, you're late. Owen checked his watch. 7:21. Start time is 7:30. Curtis looked irritated. Owen waited. Curtis changed direction. West Hangar exterior lighting. Thought we finished West Hangar. Owner wants full inspection today. Okay, no wandering. Owen looked at him. Do I wander? You ask questions. Different hobby. Curtis ignored that. We have outside aviation contractors here. Stay out of their way. What are they doing? Curtis stared. Owen smiled slightly. Question. Exactly. Curtis handed him the work order. 3 old aircraft are being evaluated. What aircraft? Curtis started walking. Helicopters. Owen stopped. Curtis kept going. Owen stared toward the west hangar. Doors open. Several vehicles outside. One marked Western Rotor Restoration. Another Kessler Aerospace Forensics. Owen's eyes stayed there. Curtis noticed. What? Nothing good. They walked inside facilities too. For the next 2 hours, Owen replaced corroded exterior junction boxes. He worked steadily. No talking. No wasted motion. His apprentice for the day was a 23-year-old named Mateo Ruiz. Mateo watched Owen strip a cable. "Can I ask you something?" "You just did." Mateo stared. Owen smiled. "Go. You always been an electrician?" "No. What before?" "Other stuff." "What kind?" "Mechanical? Crew chief?" Owen looked up. Mateo had noticed the Coast Guard sticker. "Long time ago." "Helicopters?" Owen returned to the cable. "Some." Mateo waited. Owen did not continue. "You know they got 3 in West?" "Apparently, old Harrowfire birds." Owen stopped again. "Harrowfire?" "Yeah, billionaire's dad owned some aerial firefighting company." Owen looked toward the hangar through the open door. Mateo continued. "My uncle says those helicopters have been sitting since before I graduated middle school." "Why?" "No idea. Something legal." "What type?" "Big ones. Helpful, red and white. Very technical." Mateo laughed. "Come see." "No, 5 minutes." "Curtis already thinks I wander." "He thinks everybody wanders." Owen tightened the connector. Mateo lowered his voice. "They're offering a bonus." Owen looked at him. "What?" "Anybody who helps get them running?" "According to?" "Hangar guys." "Hangar guys say lots of things." 50 grand. Owen laughed. "That's not real." Mateo pulled out his phone. A message thread. Someone had photographed a notice posted near aviation operations. Restoration Success Incentive, authorized personnel. $50,000. Owen looked at it. Authorized personnel. Details. Important details. Mateo grinned. Still curious. "No, you are." "No, you've looked at that hangar 6 times. Owen looked at him. Mateo raised both hands. "Fine." At 9:38, a helicopter engine turned for the first time. Owen heard it from 200 yards away. The starter whined. Stopped. Whined again. Stopped. He froze with a meter in his hand. Mateo noticed. "That sound bad?" Owen waited. Another attempt. Longer. Then silence. "Yes, how?" Owen looked toward the hangar. "They're cooking the starter." Mateo smiled. "You said you barely knew helicopters." "I didn't say barely." 5 minutes later, another start attempt. Different aircraft. Different sound. Rapid clicking. Then dead. Owen closed his eyes. Wrong. Something was wrong. Not necessarily the aircraft. The procedure. At 9:54, Owen's radio crackled. "Price?" "Curtis." Owen answered. "Go. Need you at West Hangar." Owen looked at Mateo. Mateo's smile widened. "Why?" Curtis answered. "Temporary power problem." Mateo whispered, "Destiny." Owen gave him a look. "Don't." They loaded tools. The West Hangar sat at the edge of the private runway. The building itself could fit several airliners. Inside, 3 helicopters stood in a row. Owen stopped the moment he saw them. His stomach tightened. Asterion H-60 Firehawks. Not modern production helicopters. Early models. Heavy twin-engine utility aircraft built for fire suppression, offshore lift, and mountain rescue. Huge rotor heads. High landing gear. Wide cabins. Red lower fuselages. White upper. Faded Harrow aerial fire markings. Aircraft numbers: N602HF, N611HF, N618HF. Owen knew all 3. Not individually. But the production block. The nose access panels were early geometry. Tail boom antenna layout original. Rotor brake housing first generation. Built between 1999 and 2001. Owen had spent part of his 20s inside Asterion's flight test program before entering Coast Guard service. He had worked on these. Flown them. Broken them. Fixed them. Written procedures nobody remembered anymore. Mateo whispered, "You've got the face." "What face?" "The I know something face." Owen picked up the electrical bag. Power problem. Inside the hangar were nearly 20 people. Technicians, managers, security, 3 independent experts. Owen recognized one. Dr. Simon Kessler. Mechanical systems engineer. television documentary appearances, government accident consulting. Never met him personally. Another was Wade Hargrove, restoration director for Western Rotor. Third was Elise Moreno, a retired manufacturer field service specialist. That got Owen's attention. If Elise Moreno could not start an Asterion H60, something unusual was happening. At the center stood Celeste Harrow, 49. Tall, dark blue trousers, white blouse, no jacket, hair tied back. She looked at the aircraft the way executives looked at expensive failures. Beside her stood Grant Veller, director of Harrow Aviation, mid-50s, former corporate pilot, silver hair, expensive watch. Curtis walked Owen toward a distribution panel. Ground power keeps dropping. Load? Aircraft test equipment. Owen opened the panel. He listened while people argued behind him. Wade Hargrove said, "The fuel control is seized." Elise Moreno shook her head. "On all three? Different problems." Simon Kessler answered. Aircraft 1 has fuel pressure deficiency. 2 appears to have starter control failure. 3 has an unresolved electrical isolation. Celeste folded her arms. "So the answer is no." Wade hesitated. "I wouldn't say impossible. You've had 4 days. These aircraft sat 9 years. I know. Desert storage helps corrosion, but seals deteriorate. Systems dry out." Celeste looked at Grant. "Your recommendation?" "Scrap." Owen's hand stopped. Grant continued. "The restoration estimate now exceeds $4 million per aircraft." Celeste looked at the helicopters. "Original value? 8 to 9 each when purchased. Current if restored, maybe 5. Simon said, "Depending on airworthiness." Grant nodded. "Not worth chasing." Elise looked unhappy. "That's premature." Grant glanced at her. "You haven't started one." "No, neither have the other teams." "Correct. Then we're paying specialists to rediscover what 9 years already told us." Celeste looked toward a table. A document waited there. Owen returned to the power panel. He should not care. Not his aircraft, not his contract. He tested voltage. Fine, load resistance. Fine, ground good. He looked at the temporary cable feeding the diagnostic equipment. There, loose neutral lug. He tightened it. Mateo asked, "That's it? For this problem?" Behind them, Wade prepared another attempt on aircraft 1. Owen heard someone call, "Battery cart connected." Then, "Fuel selector on." Owen's head lifted. "Fuel selector on." Wrong. Not catastrophically wrong, but incomplete. Early H-60s used a preservation interlock installed on certain fire service configurations. If stored using the long-duration procedure, a mechanical isolation gate and the fuel crossfeed system had to be reset manually before normal cockpit selection worked. Later models eliminated it. Most technicians under 50 had never seen one. Owen glanced under the left cabin. Could not see enough. The starter began whining again. No ignition. Owen put down the screwdriver. "Stop," nobody heard. Starter continued. "Stop." Mateo looked at him. "What?" Owen turned. The starter sound changed pitch. He raised his voice. "Stop the start." Everyone turned. Wade immediately signaled. The starter stopped. Silence. Grant Veller stared. "Who said that?" Owen raised one hand. Grant looked at his facility's shirt. "Why?" "Starter's heating." Wade frowned. "We're within duty cycle." "No. Excuse me?" "That early housing doesn't have the later cooling vent." Wade stared. Owen continued. "You're using the revised duty cycle limit." Elise Moreno slowly turned toward him. "Who are you?" "Owen." Grant stepped closer. "Owen what?" "Price. Are you aviation maintenance?" "Not here." Grant looked at Curtis. "Why is he talking?" Curtis's face tightened. "Price." Owen nodded toward the electrical panel. "Power's fixed." "Then go." He started walking. Elise said, "Wait." Owen stopped. She studied him. "How do you know the starter housing?" Owen glanced at the helicopter. "Old design." "I know that." "Then you know the cooling limitation." Elise frowned. "They incorporated the vent by serial 400 and Tay." Production, yes. Owen pointed toward aircraft 1. That isn't production configuration. Elise looked. Then walked toward the aircraft. She crouched, looked beneath the nacelle. Her face changed. Prototype retrofit. Owen said nothing. Wade approached. What? Elise pointed. He's right. Grant looked irritated. Wonderful, he prevented his starter overheating. Are we done? Owen picked up his bag. Then he saw it. Small orange lever. Under the pilot's seat. Mostly hidden behind an access flap. His chest tightened. Not merely familiar. Personal, the lever shape had been designed by an Asterian mechanic named Walter Price. Owen's father. Walter had spent 34 years in rotary aviation. The orange handle was his answer to a field problem after 2 aircraft trapped fuel during wildfire deployments. The official drawing called it long-term storage isolation reset. Everyone in the test hangar called it Walter's lever. Owen took 1 step toward the aircraft. Grant noticed. Facilities exit is behind you. Owen did not move. Celeste Harrow spoke for the first time directly to him. You recognize something else. Owen looked at her. No, you're lying. Curtis shifted nervously. Ms. Harrow, he's temporary electrical staff. Celeste ignored him. You looked at that seat like you saw a ghost. Owen almost laughed. Accurate. He said nothing. Celeste stepped closer. What did you see? Owen looked at the orange handle, then at Elise. You checked storage reset? Elise frowned. What reset? Owen knew immediately. She did not know. Wrong era. Later training. Grant scoffed. There is no storage reset. Owen pointed. Orange lever. Grant looked. That's an access latch. No, Wade crouched. What is it? Owen should leave. Harper, Job, rent, Thursday, promises. He needed simple. Instead, he walked toward aircraft 1. Security moved. Celeste raised a hand. Owen stopped 2 feet away. Did not touch. Early fire service models had a mechanical fuel isolation for long storage. Elise's expression shifted. I've never seen that in the current manual. It's not in current manuals. Then where? Original supplemental procedures. Grant crossed his arms. I've reviewed every available maintenance document. Owen looked at him. Apparently not. Curtis closed his eyes. Grant's voice hardened. Who exactly are you? Owen looked at the aircraft. Electrician today. Simon Kessler stepped forward. You said fuel isolation. Owen nodded. Aircraft 1's pumps are working. Wade said pressure isn't reaching the control. Correct, so you're saying isolation valve. Maybe, Grant laughed. Maybe, Owen looked at him. You've had 3 experts for 4 days. Maybe is an improvement. Mateo coughed to hide laughter. Grant pointed toward the door. Get him out. Celeste said. No. Grant turned. Celeste, she looked at Owen. Can you verify it? Yes, without damaging anything? Yes, do it. Grant stepped forward. He is not authorized. Owen nodded. He's right. Celeste stared. Owen continued. I can show Elise. Elise looked at him. Show me. Owen crouched beside the cockpit, did not touch the lever. Access panel below. Elise opened it. Owen pointed. Follow orange cable. She did. It disappeared toward the center section. Where does it go? Mechanical gate. She looked at him. How do you reset it? Seat full forward. Elise moved the seat. Lever down. She moved the lever. It stopped halfway. Owen said, push in. She pushed. Then down. Click. The lever dropped. A metallic sound came from beneath the floor. Wade's expression changed. What was that? Owen stood. Isolation gate. Elise looked at the fuel panel. Try pressure. The crew connected power. Fuel pumps on. Gauge climbed. Slowly, then stabilized in normal range. The hangar went silent. Wade stared. Simon Kessler looked at Owen. Grant looked furious. Celeste looked interested. Start it. Owen shook his head immediately. No. Everyone turned. Celeste frowned. You just fixed it. I restored fuel path. Then start. Aircraft sat 9 years. So? So you don't go from no fuel pressure to engine start because everybody got excited. Elise nodded. He's right. Grant looked at her. She continued. We rerun leak inspection. Confirm controls. Oil prelube. Fuel sample. Celeste exhaled. How long? Elise said. 30 minutes. Grant looked at the clock. 10:17. Celeste turned toward Owen. What about the other two? He looked at aircraft 2. Different reported failure. And 3? Different, can you identify them? Maybe, she almost smiled. You like that word. No, you're using it a lot. Because machines don't care how confident people sound. Elise looked at him with growing curiosity. Grant stepped between them. This is getting ridiculous. Celeste turned. Why? Because you are taking technical direction from an electrician. I'm taking technical direction from Elise. Elise nodded. And I'm listening to him. Grant's jaw tightened. Owen noticed. Too much irritation. Not enough curiosity. If Owen ran an aviation department and a temporary electrician found a hidden System 3 expert teams missed, he would want one thing, everything the man knew. Grant seemed to want the opposite. Silence. Owen filed that away. At 10:25, Celeste called everyone to the table. The document Owen had seen earlier was a disposal authorization. 3 aircraft. Combined salvage offer $1.4 million. Buyer Veller Aviation Holdings. Owen read the name upside down. Then looked at Grant. Grant noticed. What? Nothing. Grant covered the paper with another folder. That was interesting too. Celeste said, the disposal decision waits until noon. Grant frowned. We already agreed. I changed my mind. Based on one valve? Based on the fact that one aircraft was declared uneconomical, partly because nobody knew it had one. Grant's face hardened. Those helicopters have more than one problem. Then we'll find out. Celeste looked at Owen. You stay. Curtis spoke quickly. Miss Harrow, facility schedule, I'll pay your company for his time. Curtis stopped. Celeste looked at Owen. Any objection? Owen glanced at his watch. I leave at 3. Grant laughed. Celeste looked surprised. What? I leave at 3. You're negotiating hours with me? No telling you. Why 3? School. Celeste stared. Owen did not explain. She nodded. Fine. Curtis looked as if this violated several laws of nature. Owen walked toward aircraft 2. The reported problem was starter control failure. New batteries installed, ground cart connected, main bus healthy, starter command dead. Owen stood outside the cockpit. Elise handed him the maintenance report. He read, starter relay replaced, control switch inspected, harness resistance normal, starter itself bench tested, no command signal from cockpit. Owen looked at the instrument panel. One detail caught his eye. Rotor brake annunciator. Dark. It should be illuminated with the brake engaged. Rotor brake indication tested? Elise checked the report. Switch continuity good. Actual brake position? Mechanically released. Owen shook his head. What? Sensor. They checked it. Electrical, yes. Position cam? Elise stopped. Owen pointed toward the overhead quadrant. The early cam can slip on the shaft. Simon Kessler looked up. That would inhibit starter logic. Yes, Elise looked at Owen again. How many of these have you worked on? Owen ignored the question. She did not let it go. Seriously, several means 5 or 50? Owen crouched near the rotor brake mechanism. More than 5. She smiled. That's not an answer. Learning from billionaires. Celeste heard from 10 feet away. Careful, Owen almost smiled. Elise opened the inspection area. The cam looked normal. She marked alignment, moved the brake. Cam barely shifted. There, Simon leaned closer. Loose, Owen nodded. Grant said, so tighten it. Elise shook her head. No, inspect shaft first. Grant exhaled. Everything takes forever. Owen looked at him. That's aviation. Grant stared. At 10:46, the shaft passed inspection. Cam repositioned. Fastener replaced. Torque verified. Position switch adjusted. Elise returned to cockpit. Starter check. No engine. Technician selected start. Starter relay engaged immediately. The engine began motoring. They cut it after the prescribed interval. Mateo whispered. Two. Owen looked at him. Two faults found. Same thing. No, aircraft 3 was worse. No main electrical power despite fresh batteries. External power accepted. Some buses active, others dead. No cockpit start sequence. No avionics. No hydraulic indication. Simon Kessler had diagnosed degraded wiring after years of storage. His estimate was in $2 million minimum before engine evaluation. Owen studied the diagrams. Asterion early model electrical distribution had one peculiarity. The emergency bus isolation contactor could remain mechanically latched after preservation if the aircraft was stored with a specific battery sequence. A modification replaced it after 2002. Aircraft 3 was 2000. Owen asked, battery master cycled after external power? Technician nodded, many times. Emergency isolation reset? Simon answered. Breaker checked. Not breaker. Contactor? Manual latch. Simon frowned. There is no manual latch. Owen looked at serial number. There is on this one. Grant laughed. Another hidden lever? Button, of course. Owen walked toward the aft electrical bay. Security looked to Celeste. She nodded. Elise opened the bay. Owen pointed toward a cluster of old relays. Behind K-17, Elise used an inspection light. Nothing, Owen frowned. Mirror, she handed him one. Owen hesitated. He had still not physically touched an aircraft. Old habit, authorization mattered. Elise noticed. You want me to do it? Yes, why? You're signed on to the inspection. She stared, then nodded. Using the mirror, she looked behind the contactor. There is something. Red? Faded red. Push until click. She reached carefully. Press, nothing. Again, harder click, the contactor released. She looked toward cockpit. Power check. Battery master. Displays flickered, then lit. One bus, then another. Hydraulic indicators appeared. Mateo whispered 3. Grant walked away. Not impressed. Not relieved. Away, Owen watched him. Celeste did too. At 11:02, Aircraft 1 passed fuel system leak inspection. Aircraft 2 passed starter logic. Aircraft 3 powered normally. The experts gathered. Celeste asked, Can they run? Elise answered carefully. Potentially Grant turned back. Potentially Elise ignored him. All 3 still require full pre-start checks. How long? 30 to 40 minutes. Grant checked the disposal document. The buyer needs confirmation by noon. Owen looked at him. Why? Grant stared. What? Why noon? Transport scheduling. For helicopters that have been sitting 9 years? Grant's face tightened. Heavy transport requires planning. Sure. Celeste looked toward the covered document. What did you say the salvage buyer was called? Grant hesitated. Veller Aviation Holdings. Owen pretended to read the maintenance card. Celeste's eyes moved slowly toward Grant. Veller. Family company. You never mentioned that. It's disclosed in the package. Where? Corporate information. You recommended I sell 3 aircraft to your family's company. At market salvage value. After your department determined restoration was uneconomical. Grant's jaw tightened. Independent specialists reached the same conclusion. Elise interrupted. No, everyone looked at her. She continued. I said restoration might not be economical depending on engine condition. Grant said same thing. It is absolutely not the same thing. Simon Kessler nodded. I also did not recommend disposal. Grant looked at Wade. Wade shrugged. My contract was assessment only. Celeste stared at Grant. You told me all 3 recommended scrap. I summarized the consensus. There wasn't one. Grant stepped closer. Celeste, these machines are liabilities. Owen looked at the aircraft. Grant continued. They are 25 years old. So? Old systems. No support. Unknown history. Elise frowned. Asterion still supports the airframe. At enormous cost. Celeste asked, how much is Veller Aviation paying? 1.4 and restored? Grant exhaled. We've gone over this. Answer, 4 to 5 million each, maybe 15 million total, before restoration costs. Celeste looked at Owen. You've been very quiet. Owen raised his eyebrows. Have I? What do you think? Not my business. It is now. He looked at Grant. Then at Celeste. I'd get an independent valuation before signing anything. Grant laughed. You repair junction boxes. Owen nodded. Still good advice. Celeste folded the disposal order. Sale suspended. Grant's face changed. Celeste, until all 3 aircraft are evaluated properly, you'll lose the buyer. She looked at him. Good. At 11:14, Owen's phone buzzed. Harper. He stepped outside. Answered. Hey, Dad. Her voice was low. What's wrong? Nothing. That's your lying voice. I'm not lying. Harper. Pause. Mrs. Camden wants to know if you're definitely coming Thursday. I signed. She says parent slots have to be confirmed. Confirm me. Really? Really, you won't get fired? Owen looked through the hangar doors. Celeste Harrow was arguing with Grant Veller beside 3 helicopters nobody could start. His supervisor looked terrified. His contract ended in 6 days. Probably not. Dad, I'm kidding. You never joke well when you're worried. That was true. He leaned against the hangar wall. I'm coming. Okay, Harper, yeah? We might be okay. What does that mean? I don't know yet. Rent? He closed his eyes. Maybe, that's good. Don't worry about rent. You're worrying, that's my job. Okay, he heard students in the background. Go, love you too. The call ended. Celeste stood behind him. Owen turned. How long? He frowned. What? Your wife. Owen looked away. Who said anything about my wife? The way you answered your daughter. He did not respond. Celeste continued. I recognize it. Owen looked at her. She said my husband died 8 years ago. Owen nodded once. Rebecca was 5. Years? Yeah, your daughter was 6. Yeah, Celeste looked toward the runway. Mine was already in college. You have a daughter? Son, close enough. No, Owen almost smiled. Celeste continued. Why are you doing electrical contract work if you know those aircraft? There it was. He stared through the hangar. Life, not an answer. Best one you're getting. Fine, she walked away. At 11:23, Aircraft 1 was cleared for ground start. Elise sat in the cockpit. Owen stood outside. He had walked her through the old supplemental sequence. Fuel isolation reset. Prime cycle. Oil pressure confirmation. Manual boost verification. Starter limit. Everything documented. No shortcuts. Grant watched from across the hangar. The first engine started. A low whine. Ignition, then turbine acceleration. The sound deepened. The massive rotor remained braked. Oil pressure rose. Temperature stabilized. Second engine. Ignition, stable. The hangar vibrated. People began walking toward the doors. Mateo grinned. 1. Owen said nothing. He was listening. The engine sounded healthy. Too healthy for machines supposedly uneconomical. Elise completed the run. Shut down. She climbed out smiling. Engines are clean. Simon Kessler checked data. Very clean. Celeste looked at Grant. Grant looked at the floor. Aircraft 2 started at 11:38, both engines. Normal parameters. Aircraft 3 at 11:49. Normal, 3 helicopters. All running. No miracle. No magic. 3 forgotten systems. 3 old preservation features. 3 faults mistaken for catastrophic failure because later manuals no longer explained early configurations clearly. Celeste stared at the line of aircraft. 9 years. Nobody answered. These sat 9 years because of that? Elise shook her head. No, Celeste turned. What? These issues explain why the recent teams couldn't start them. Then why were they abandoned originally? Silence, Grant stepped forward. Ownership litigation. Celeste looked at him. The estate litigation ended 6 years ago. Then maintenance cost. Why didn't we recommission them? Prior management recommendation. Whose? Grant hesitated. Celeste stared. Yours. He said nothing. Owen looked away. There it was. Grant said the fleet was outdated. Elise pointed toward Aircraft 1. Those engines have less than 2,000 hours. Grant replied, airframe calendar age matters. Of course, insurance, insurable, parts, supported. Grant snapped. Then you buy them. The hangar went silent. Celeste looked at Grant. Office, he stared. Now they walked away. Owen checked the clock. 11:55. His work should have ended there. The helicopters ran. Experts could continue. He had found the faults. But Celeste returned alone 7 minutes later. Grant did not. She looked at Owen. I need them flown. Owen shook his head. Different question. What does that mean? Starting is one thing. Flying another. I understand helicopters. Then you understand why. Elise stepped closer. We can inspect for ground taxi and hover testing. Celeste looked at her. Can you fly them? Elise shook her head. I'm not current. Simon said, neither am I. Wade raised both hands. Mechanic, Celeste looked toward Harrow Aviation staff. Grant's chief pilot was away in Dallas. Second pilot only qualified on newer fleet types. No one on site had current H-60 type experience. Celeste stared at Owen again. No. He answered before she asked. You don't know the question. Yes, I do. No. You can fly them. Owen looked at her. Why do you think that? The way you watch the controls. Elise turned toward him. Can you? Owen did not answer. Celeste said, you knew the starter limit. Nothing. You knew 3 obscure systems nobody else recognized. Nothing. You refused to touch anything without maintenance authorization. Nothing. You're either very strange or very experienced. Mateo whispered to Curtis both. Curtis elbowed him. Celeste looked at Owen's badge. Owen Price. Then she froze. She had seen the name somewhere. Not recently. Elise had too. She stared. Price. Owen looked away. Elise's expression changed. Walter Price. Owen said nothing. Oh my God. Simon looked between them. Who? Elise walked closer. Walter Price was an Asterian test mechanic. Owen picked up his electrical bag. Was your father? Yes, Elise's eyes widened further. And Owen Price... He started walking. She followed. Coast Guard test unit. Owen stopped. Celeste looked at her. What? Elise was thinking aloud now. There was an Owen Price at Atlantic Rotary Evaluation Squadron. Owen's jaw tightened. Elise, you flew the H-60. Long time ago. How many hours? No. Celeste stepped closer. How many? Owen looked at the aircraft. This was why he avoided aviation people. Names traveled. Old records survived. He answered quietly. About 2,600 on this family. Mateo's mouth fell open. Curtis stared. Simon Kessler laughed in disbelief. You've been replacing parking lot lights? Owen looked at him. They needed replacing. Elise asked, test pilot? Maintenance test. Coast Guard? Yes. Manufacturer before that? Yes. Celeste looked almost offended. You gave my contractor a URSUM that says electrical maintenance. Owen frowned. I gave his company a URSUM. You omitted being a helicopter test pilot. I wasn't applying to fly helicopters. Why? He looked at her. Because I stopped. Why? Silence. Celeste saw the boundary. This time she did not push. She looked at the aircraft instead. Are you current? Commercial rotorcraft. Medical? Current H-60? Experience doesn't expire. Currency does. Can you regain enough currency for a maintenance test today? Elise answered. Legally, depending on operator and insurance requirements. Owen looked at her. Don't help. She smiled. You deserve this. Celeste said, I want an answer. Owen checked the time. 12:11. No money? No risk? Partly what else? He looked toward his truck. Harper's permission slip was still on the kitchen counter. Rebecca. An airfield. Promises he had not flown a helicopter since Rebecca's diagnosis. The last flight had been a routine acceptance check in North Carolina. He landed. Got a voicemail. Called the hospital. Everything after that became another life. He sold his flight helmet, stopped renewing company qualifications, took work where he could. Rebecca needed care. Then she died. Harper needed him. Flying belonged to a man who still had a wife waiting after the shift. Owen had never figured out whether he quit aviation because he hated it or because he loved it too much. Celeste said quietly, "Your daughter." He looked at her. "Thursday aviation day?" He frowned. "You heard? You were 10 feet away." Owen looked at the helicopters. "She thinks I worked around aircraft." "Does she know you flew?" "No." "Why?" "Because I don't." Celeste did not answer. At 12:18, a security vehicle arrived. Grant Veller stepped out. He had been escorted from the administration building. Security collected his badge. Celeste watched from the hangar entrance. Owen stood beside her. "What happened?" She looked at him. "Finance checked the buyer." "Family company?" "Grant owns 38% through a trust." Owen nodded. "That's bad." He recommended selling 3 aircraft for $1.4 million to a company he partially owns. Very bad. The board-approved valuation he showed me was 14 months old. How current is the real one? We're finding out. She looked furious, not loud. Worse, controlled, his recommendation to abandon these aircraft 6 years ago came 3 months before the buyer company was incorporated. Owen looked at her. That doesn't prove he knew they'd become valuable. No. Or that he intentionally kept them grounded. No. She looked toward Grant. But it means I'm done trusting his summaries. Security walked him toward a vehicle. Grant saw Owen. "Stopped. This is your fault." Owen shook his head. "No, don't. Your ownership isn't my fault. You walked in here playing hero." "No. You think you understand this fleet because you remember some antique procedures?" Owen looked at the helicopters. "Apparently I remembered enough." Grant laughed bitterly. "You haven't flown one." Celeste stepped forward. "Grant," he ignored her. "Those aircraft have been sitting 9 years." Owen nodded. "Yes, you put one in the air, you better pray something doesn't fail." "Correct." Grant stared. He expected bravado. Owen gave none. Grant continued. "At least I understood the risk." Owen said, "Then why did your own company want them?" Silence. Grant's face changed. Celeste's eyes narrowed. Owen continued. "If they're unsafe scrap, why buy them?" Grant looked at him. "Parts. $1.4 million for parts. Yes, with intact engines." Grant stopped. Owen looked toward Elise. "What's each engine worth overhauled?" She thought. 700 to 900,000 depending configuration. Owen nodded. 6 engines. Celeste looked at Grant. His face had gone pale. Security opened the vehicle door. Grant said nothing else. He left. At 12:34, Celeste's finance team returned with a preliminary number. Estimated restored value, $18 million to $21 million combined. Potential specialized firefighting conversion value even higher. The salvage deal would have transferred them for $1.4 million. Celeste's expression became unreadable. Elise said quietly, someone was about to get a very good deal. Owen looked at the aircraft. That was the easy part. The hard part was deciding what came next. Celeste walked toward him. $100,000. He frowned. "What? Fly them? No, $100,000. No each." The hangar became quiet. Owen stared at her. $300,000. Yes, for 3 test flights. Yes, that's ridiculous. Celeste crossed her arms. I'm comfortable with ridiculous. Owen looked at Curtis. Curtis suddenly found the ceiling fascinating. Mateo whispered, "Do it." Owen ignored him. Celeste continued. "All inspections first, no shortcuts. Obviously, you decide whether each aircraft is safe enough to test. Yes, if you reject one, you still get paid for the evaluation." Owen stared. She understood the right incentive. Not payment for flying, payment for judgment. That mattered. He said not 300. Her eyebrows lifted. "What?" "I won't take 300,000. Why?" "It's too much." Mateo covered his face. Celeste looked genuinely confused. "You understand I'm offering more, not less." "Yes, And that's a problem. Yes, why? Because then I'm thinking about money while deciding whether to lift an aircraft. Celeste stared for several seconds. Elise smiled. He really was flight test. Celeste exhaled. Your number. Owen thought. 5,000 per aircraft for inspection and maintenance test consultation. Celeste looked offended. That's 15,000. Good math. And flight? Same fee. Included? Yes, you're terrible at being poor. Owen looked at her, working on it. Celeste shook her head. 25,000 per aircraft. No, 20, no, 15, Owen hesitated. Celeste saw it, 15,000 each, 45 total. With written agreement that I have sole go, no-go authority. Done. No pressure from ownership. Done. Elise signs maintenance. Elise nodded, happy too. Independent insurance approval. Celeste looked at her assistant. Handle it. And I leave at 3. Celeste stared. Still? Still, you may be the only person I've offered $45,000 to who keeps mentioning school pickup. Thursday's the aviation thing. You mean today isn't even the event? No, Celeste almost laughed. Fine, at 12:48 they began. Aircraft 1 first. Full exterior inspection. Rotor head. Controls, hydraulics, fuel samples, engine oil, gearboxes, drivetrain, fire bottles, flight controls, pitot static. Electrical, fasteners, hoses. Owen moved slowly. The air temperature outside had reached 93 degrees. Sweat soaked his shirt. Nobody rushed him, not even Celeste. At 1:19, Owen stopped beside the tail rotor. Problem, everyone froze. Elise joined him. He pointed at one pitch link bearing. Seal, she inspected. Cracked, any play? She checked. Minimal, within limits? Barely, Owen shook his head. Celeste asked, can it fly? Owen answered, not with me. Grant's replacement operations manager, a woman named Diane Park, looked at the manual, technically within allowable play. Owen nodded. Seal is compromised. Maintenance procedure allows deferred replacement, after recent operation. She understood, not after 9-year storage. Exactly, Celeste asked. Replacement available? Parts technician checked. 1 in stores. How long? Elise said 40 minutes. Celeste checked time. Owen noticed. She put the watch down. Do it right. He looked at her. Good. At 1:27, another problem. Aircraft 2's hydraulic return hose showed surface cracking. Replace. Aircraft 3 had a landing gear oleo leak. Not critical for hover test, but required before circuit flight. Owen said, fix it. No argument. By 1:54, all 3 had accumulated repair tasks. The fantasy of simply jumping in and flying vanished. That pleased Owen. Machines deserved respect more than stories deserved drama. Mateo brought him water. You okay? Yeah, you could make 45 grand today. Maybe. You aren't excited? Excited people miss things. Mateo looked at the aircraft. Are you scared? Owen drank. Yes, Mateo stared. You admit that? Fear is information. My uncle says pilots don't get scared. Your uncle isn't a pilot. He drives a forklift. There you go. Mateo laughed. At 2:07, Celeste approached Owen carrying a printed document. Insurance approved. He read, temporary named pilot endorsement. Limited maintenance evaluation. Ground and hover test initially. Circuit flight only after satisfactory hover and system verification. Owen nodded. Good. Celeste pointed to the compensation agreement. 45. Fine. You look miserable. I haven't flown in 13 years. Her expression changed. 13? Yes. I thought currency meant a few months. No. Then don't. Owen looked at her. She continued. I want the aircraft evaluated. I don't need you proving anything. For the first time that day, he liked her. Not because she was kind, because she understood the difference. He looked toward aircraft 1. I know. Then why are you still considering it? Owen reached into his wallet. Behind his license was an old photograph, Harper at 2 years old, Rebecca holding her. Owen wearing a green flight suit. A helicopter behind them. He looked at it, then put it away. I don't know. Celeste nodded. Good reason not to fly. Maybe, but at 2:18 Elise finished the tail rotor repair. Aircraft 1 was ready for controlled hover evaluation. Owen walked around it again, then again. He checked every maintenance sign-off, reviewed limits, emergency procedures, wind, temperature, weight, fuel. He sat in the cockpit with the engines off, hands resting in his lap. The panel had changed less than expected. His body remembered before his mind did. Pedals, collective, cyclic, trim, engine controls. He touched nothing, just sat. Rebecca's voice appeared in memory. Not the hospital. Earlier, their first apartment. You know what scares me? What? You're more comfortable in helicopters than kitchens. Helicopters come with manuals, so do ovens. Nobody reads those. She laughed. Owen closed his eyes. 13 years. He opened them. Elise stood outside. Well? Owen looked at her. Ground run first. She smiled. Welcome back. Don't. At 2:23, aircraft 1 started. Both engines. Rotor brake released. The rotor began to move. Slow, then faster. Wind rolled through the hangar entrance. Celeste stepped outside. Mateo covered his eyes against dust. Owen completed controls checks. Hydraulics, generators, flight controls, rotor RPM, temperatures, everything stable. He called for the aircraft to be towed onto the marked test pad before rotor engagement continued. No drama, no shortcut. At 2:31, he was ready. Owen's hand rested on the collective. 13 years reduced to one movement. Lift, or shut down. He thought of Harper. She did not know. Maybe she deserved to. He raised the collective slightly. Engine load increased. Rotor tone deepened. The aircraft became light on its wheels. Owen paused. Everything normal, more collective. The wheels left the ground. 6 inches. 1 foot. 3, aircraft 1 hovered. Owen forgot everybody watching. He watched instruments. Listened, felt vibration through the seat. Small pedal correction, slight cyclic pressure. The machine responded, not perfectly. Honestly, like an old aircraft telling him exactly what it needed. Owen held 5 feet. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Turn left, turn right, sideward movement. Back, forward, hover power check. Within expected range. He landed. The wheels touched. He lowered collective. For several seconds he did nothing. Then radio, Elise. How does she feel? Owen looked through the windshield. Old, pause, then healthy. Applause erupted outside. Owen hated that. He had hovered 5 feet. Not crossed the Atlantic. He shut down. When he climbed out, Celeste was smiling. 1, Owen looked at his watch. 2:39. 1 hover. Can it fly a circuit? After post-run inspection. Her smile disappeared. Right, he nodded. Learning, aircraft 2 was ready at 2:42. Owen almost refused. Not for the aircraft, for himself. His hands had started shaking after shutdown. Adrenaline, memory, grief, everything. He stood behind the hangar alone for 2 minutes. Then his phone buzzed. Harper, he answered. Hey, are you picking me up? Yeah, what time? 3:30. Promise? Owen looked at the helicopter. Yeah, Mrs. Camden says Thursday we get to sit in a Black Hawk. That's cool. Do you know Black Hawks? A little. You always say a little. Useful amount. Harper laughed. Then Dad, yeah, you're doing okay? He closed his eyes. Yeah, really? Really okay. The call ended. Owen returned. Aircraft 2 hover at 2:48. Smooth, no starter fault, no abnormal vibration, power normal. Land aircraft 3 at 2:57. Owen looked at the clock. Celeste said, you can stop. He looked at her. I know. 3, I know. Your daughter. He nodded. Aircraft 3 had the repaired gear seal, all inspections signed, weather good. Owen climbed in. At exactly 3:03, the third helicopter lifted. 3 feet. 5. Stable. He made 1 slow pedal turn. The aircraft rotated in place beneath the Arizona sun. Celeste stood beside Elise. What do you think? Elise smiled. I think your scrap value just changed. Owen landed at 3:07. He climbed out, removed the headset. Celeste approached. You did every one. Hovered every one. The title people will use later won't care. Owen frowned. What? Nothing. She handed him a signed payment authorization. $45,000. Owen stared. That fast? I'm good at checks. So am I. Apparently, he looked toward the aircraft. Don't fly circuits until tomorrow. Why? Because I have somewhere to be. She smiled. You think nobody else can? Elise can supervise another qualified pilot. Elise shook her head. We've waited 9 years. One night won't hurt. Owen nodded. Good. Celeste looked at him. I want to offer you a job. No, she stared. I haven't said what. No, fleet technical director. No, 260,000 base. Mateo nearly dropped a tool. Owen looked at Celeste. No. Why? I don't want to direct. Chief test pilot. No, reliability manager. Maybe. Celeste smiled. There it is. Owen pointed. 3 conditions. You haven't even heard salary. Doesn't matter. Fine, school pickup flexibility. Done. Thursday off. Done. Why Thursday? Already explained. Third? Owen looked toward Mateo, Elise, and the maintenance crew. People who raise technical concerns don't report through whoever controls the budget tied to the answer. Celeste's smile faded. You mean Grant? I mean everybody. She nodded slowly. Independent Safety and Reliability Office. Yes, reporting directly to me? Or Board Safety Committee? You're negotiating organizational structure now, you asked. Celeste considered. Done. Owen stared. That easy? Nothing about today was easy. He nodded. Send it. What salary? We'll argue tomorrow. She smiled. You aren't bad at this. I need to go. At 3:14, Owen drove away from Harrow Sky Ranch. His hands still smelled like hydraulic fluid. The compensation paper lay on the passenger seat. $45,000. Enough to cover the rent increase for years if managed properly. But his mind was somewhere else. Aircraft 1 lifting. Rebecca's voice. Harper saying, you always say a little. At 3:32, Owen pulled into the school lot. Harper was sitting on a bench beside the office. She stood, checked her watch dramatically. 2 minutes late. Owen got out. Traffic, excuse fare. She walked toward him, then stopped. You smell weird. Long day. Like fuel. Owen froze. Harper narrowed her eyes. What? Nothing. She looked at his shirt. A small patch of hydraulic fluid near his shoulder. Then at his hands. Then at his face. What did you do? Owen opened the passenger door. Get in. Dad. Harper. Did you work on the helicopters? Owen stopped. Who told you? Mateo posted a video. Owen closed his eyes. Of course Mateo did. Harper pulled out her phone. Video, Aircraft 1 hovering. Owen in the cockpit. Caption, our electrician is apparently a helicopter pilot? Owen stared. Mateo is unemployed tomorrow. Harper looked at him. You flew it. Hovered, you flew it. People in the parking lot turned. Owen lowered his voice. Inside voice. You told me you worked around helicopters. I did. You were a pilot. Yeah. Why didn't you tell me? Owen looked at her. There was no good answer. So he gave the true one. Because that was before Mom got sick. Harper's anger softened. Owen continued. I stopped. Because of Mom? Partly. Did she want you to? No, then why? He sat on the edge of the truck seat. Harper stood in front of him. I thought if I went back to that life, it meant I was moving on. Harper frowned. Aren't you supposed to? Owen laughed softly. 11-year-olds are brutal. Mom would want you to. I know. Did you like flying today? He looked away. Yeah, how much? A lot. Harper smiled. Then you're dumb. Thank you. You're welcome. He handed her the compensation authorization. She read. Her eyes widened. $45,000? Apparently for today? Apparently, Dad. Yeah, can we buy a toaster? Owen laughed so hard he had to sit down. That evening they did. $29. Harper insisted on the expensive model. It had 4 slots. 3 months later, the investigation into Grant Veller became much larger. Celeste ordered an independent review of every aviation asset sale he had recommended over 8 years. The auditors found 6 transactions involving companies tied to Grant, his brother or 2 former business partners. The abandoned H-60 helicopters were the largest, not the only ones. Grant had repeatedly labeled older aviation assets uneconomical, then steered sales toward buyers connected to his private investment network. The financial impact totaled $11.8 million. Aerodynamics terminated him for cause. His $1.2 million deferred compensation package was canceled. The company filed civil claims. State prosecutors investigated procurement disclosures. Grant eventually pleaded guilty to commercial fraud and falsifying conflict of interest documentation. He received 30 months in prison. A restitution order required $3.6 million to Harrow-related entities. The Veller Aviation purchase offer vanished. The 3 H-60s did not. Aircraft 1 completed a full maintenance test flight the next morning. Owen flew. Elise sat beside him. They stayed in the local area. 22 minutes. No faults. Aircraft 2 flew that afternoon. Aircraft 3 the next day. All 3 required deeper maintenance before operational return. Hoses, seals, instrument overhauls. 1 gearbox inspection. 2 rotor dampers. Avionics updates. None were dead. Within 6 months, Harrow sold Aircraft 2 to a wildfire contractor for $6.1 million after restoration. Aircraft 3 went to a mountain rescue operator in Colorado. $5.7 million. Celeste kept Aircraft 1. Not for sentiment, at least that was what she claimed. She converted it into a wildfire and disaster response aircraft operated through the Harrow Foundation. Owen suspected sentiment played a role. She denied it. Owen accepted the new job too. Not fleet technical director. Not chief pilot. Director of independent reliability. He hated the word director. Celeste refused to change it. Salary, $214,000. Benefits, retirement, education assistance, flexible schedule. In one line, Owen insisted be written directly into the department charter. No employee may be penalized for stopping work or raising a documented safety concern in good faith. Celeste added another. All asset disposal recommendations require independent technical review. Harper liked that one. She said it meant nobody gets to call stuff junk just because they're important. Owen thought that was a better policy statement. Celeste declined to use it in the board manual. Thursday arrived. Owen took the whole day off. Harper almost did not believe him. At Luke Air Force Base, students walked across the ramp in groups, aircraft everywhere. Harper talked continuously. Owen listened. Then their class reached a helicopter display. The pilot giving the tour noticed Owen's old Coast Guard cap. "You fly?" Owen glanced at Harper. She crossed her arms. "Tell him." The pilot laughed. Owen smiled. "Used to." Harper corrected him. "Does?" Owen looked at her. She grinned. The pilot asked, "What type?" Owen shrugged. "Little bit of everything." Harper groaned. "He always says that." Later, they sat beneath a shade canopy eating sandwiches. Harper looked at the flight line. "Dad, are we moving?" Owen looked at her. The rent notice had been sitting on the counter for weeks. He had not told her yet. "No." Her head snapped toward him. "No? I talked to the landlord." "And? We stay." "Even with the rent?" "Yeah. Because of the new job?" "Because of the new job." Harper smiled. "Promise?" Owen looked directly at her. "I can't promise nothing ever changes." She waited. "But I can promise we aren't moving because I can't afford our apartment." Her eyes filled. Owen continued. "And I can promise I'm not hiding important things from you anymore." She wiped one eye. "Like being a helicopter pilot?" "Mostly that." "Anything else?" Owen thought. "I was decent at guitar." She stared. "You're lying." "Yeah." She laughed. 6 months later, Celeste visited the reliability hangar. Owen was underneath Aircraft 1. Only the tail of his boots showed. She stopped. "Owen, no answer." Owen, he slid out. What? You missed the executive review. No, it started at 9. I know. You are an executive. That's your mistake. She stared. He wiped his hands. Hydraulic return line. We have mechanics. They found something. So? So I wanted to see. Celeste looked at the aircraft. You really don't understand management. I understand it enough. She handed him a folder. What? Annual compensation review. He did not take it. What did you do? Raised your salary. No, you haven't read it. Don't need to. Why do you fight money? Owen stood. I don't. You refused $300,000. That was different. You negotiated down. I was deciding whether aircraft were safe. And I didn't want the money affecting the answer. Celeste studied him, then handed him another folder. What now? Harper. Owen froze. What about Harper? Education program. He opened it. Harrow Foundation STEM Scholarship. Full funding for qualifying children of employees. Summer aviation programs. Engineering camps. College tuition assistance. Owen looked at Celeste. You did this because of me? No, Celeste, I did it because we have 4,000 employees with children. He stared. She looked away. Maybe your situation clarified a gap. Owen smiled. Sentiment. Absolutely not. Sure. She walked away. Owen called after her. Thank you. She stopped. Did not turn. You're welcome. Then, and attend the next executive meeting. No. She kept walking. On the first anniversary of the day the 3 helicopters started, Aircraft 1 returned to Harrow Sky Ranch after a wildfire deployment. Owen and Harper were there. The helicopter touched down near sunset, red and white against orange desert light. Harper stood beside Owen wearing hearing protection. The rotor slowed. She watched until each blade became distinct. Dad? Yeah? That one was abandoned? Yep. People really thought it was dead? Yep. And 3 experts couldn't start it? Yep, she looked at him. But you could. Owen smiled. Eventually Harper shook her head. No, what? You always make everything sound boring. Good maintenance usually is. She rolled her eyes, then looked at the helicopter again. Can I fly someday? Owen's smile faded. Not from fear, something warmer. Sure, will you teach me? Maybe, she groaned. That word. It's useful. She leaned against him. The last light moved across the mountains. Behind them, mechanics rolled equipment toward the hangar. Ahead, the helicopter sat cooling after doing what it had been built to do. Working, not proving anything, not performing a miracle. Just working. Owen thought about the morning 1 year earlier. Temporary badge. Past due bills. A daughter wondering whether they would have to leave again. 3 helicopters marked for disposal. 3 respected experts who had done their best with incomplete information. And 1 orange lever his father had designed decades before. People later told the story as if Owen had walked into a hangar and embarrassed everyone. That was never how he remembered it. The experts had not been fools, the aircraft had not been magical, and Owen had not saved them because he was smarter than everybody else. He had simply remembered something the paperwork forgot. He listened when the machine disagreed with the conclusion. He asked why 3 expensive aircraft had become worthless at exactly the moment someone stood to profit from their sale. And when the moment came to put them into the air, he did not trust memory. He trusted inspection. Procedure, people willing to say stop. That mattered to him. Because machines were rarely ruined by 1 mistake. People were not either. Most failures arrived slowly. 1 ignored warning, 1 shortcut, 1 assumption, 1 year away, then another, until something still capable of flying sat under dust while everyone called it dead. Harper tugged his sleeve. Dad, Owen looked down. What? Food, what about it? I'm hungry. We ate. That was 2 hours ago. Tragic, tacos. You had tacos yesterday. That's not relevant. Owen laughed. They started toward the truck. Halfway there, Harper stopped. Turned, looked back at the helicopter. You know what I like? What? Nobody scrapped it. Owen followed her eyes. Yeah, Would have been stupid. Expensive too. She nodded, then grabbed his hand. They walked on. The truck still had the old Coast Guard sticker. Owen had finally repaired the transmission. Their apartment still had slightly crooked kitchen cabinets. The new toaster worked perfectly, and on Thursday mornings, whenever Owen's schedule allowed, he drove Harper to school himself. Not because he had to, because he could. The helicopter behind them disappeared into the darkening hangar. Its red lights blinked once, then twice, waiting for the next mission. Not dead. Never had been.